V is late because he's moving to a ghetto in Kiryat. He wanted to be closer to the Democrats. Horrible. No. I actually was late because I didn't notice the passage of time. I have no excuse. So, Benjamin Netanyahu goes to the United States. Legend has it that he brings his dirty laundry to the US. There's this rumor on Twitter going around. And since people, whenever hearing a rumor about Donald Trump, believe it as gospel, I too am choosing to believe this. Apparently, the American staff, whenever they receive a foreign head of state, one of the things that they include in order to make them comfortable is to offer free laundry service. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because, like, the world leaders, they travel for hours on end. They can sweat. You don't want to go with a sweaty shirt to have a public speech, right? So they offer to clean it. It's kind of like expensive hotels, I guess. Yeah. So, most heads of state do not take advantage of this service. Usually because they come prepared. So, you know, they have like 2 shirts. They also don't have time. But apparently Benjamin Netanyahu, if the legend is true, he always brings dirty laundry for the Americans to clean. I guess it's a way to assert dominance, right? Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, he had a speech in the United States Senate where boot sex happened. Not during his speech, but before his speech. I cannot separate now the American Senate from the boot sex. And he got a standing ovation. Now, someone actually timed how many applauses he got. He got 20 minutes of just full-on applause. Just full-on applause. It was like a rock star. Let me see if I can actually find the thing, right? Benjamin Netanyahu speech. Netanyahu addresses Congress. Congress, not the Senate. Not the Senate, but the Congress. Okay. So let's look at the standing applause that he got. I'm not going to go through the entire 20 minutes of it, but basically, if it's true, if what people timed, his speech is around a half an hour, and the rest of it is applause. And it's not just applause; it's with the woo, woo. You know how Americans do when they're in heat. Is this like an American mating call? The woo? Is it? I always found it cringe to woo. I always find it cringe. I don't know who was during the applause session, but there's always that one guy. Every single time I try to woo as well, it sounds cringe. Here. This guy isn't applauding. This motherfucker ain't applauding. Why isn't he applauding? Does the ADL know? Is APAC aware? This is Ted Cruz, the Hasashin Ted Cruz, eh? Anyway, so what did I get from this? Like the chat is also pointing out, like, never saw the Democrats and the Republicans so united. I gotta agree. Because here's the interesting thing. If you look at American politics, they are so divided right now that if you put a Republican and a Democrat in the same room, they do not agree on anything. Like, it's very difficult to find any common agreement. In fact, I think, like, the Republicans are the Democrats' moral compass. Trump specifically. Like, if Trump says that saving baby is good, the Democrats will say nope, because Trump said it, so it must be the other way around. But when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu, everyone is clapping, everyone is agreeing, right? So he's like the great unifier. Now I understand the way democracy works, right? Which is what the Democrat Party is trying to accomplish. They're trying to save democracy in America. Like, you would think that this is why people have guns, to make sure that no tyrannical government takes all, but no. The people aren't strong enough. The Democrat Party is the only party in the universe that can safeguard democracy, right? Like, the Soviet Union didn't topple democracy in the United States. The Nazis didn't topple democracy in the United States, but now dangers are looming, probably from it within, and they want to tear down the American democracy, which has lasted for hundreds of years. But luckily, the Democrats, led by the brave Kamala Harris, are going to save democracy. So what is democracy? Well, I understand it's like, it's not that the politicians tell people what to think, right? That's not democracy. Democracy is that the people, they gather, they talk, they discuss, and then they vote for representatives, right? So, like, the people there represent the people. The people in the Senate and the Congress, they represent the citizens. And sometimes the non-citizens too. But, with that aside, why is it that they both agree? Well, it's because the American people agree. So, I think the only solution is to clone Netanyahu and select him as US president. Do we have the cloning technology? Right? Like, he is the great unifier. He is the thing that keeps America together. Without him, you have the Republicans and the Democrats going at each other. You know what? Like, in Romania, they had this during the interbellum period. They had the king, right? There's a lot of people that want America to become a monarchy. Here's my take. Become a monarchy and have Benjamin Netanyahu as your king. And then it is all the more. Spoon is probably having a hard on right now. Come on. Like, this is what you guys want, right? So then you have, like, the royals. You have the Netanyahus as the American royals. No more division. No more division. I lolled pretty hard when I heard about France's elections. Oh, did you? How does this affect you in any way, V? It makes me smile. I watch that and I get like a chuckle, you know? Both the far right and the far left hate him, though. Yeah, but were they in that place? I saw everyone applauding. I didn't see what AOC was doing, so I have no idea. Kamala Harris. Apparently, listen, according to the internet, Kamala Harris is the most left-leaning person out there. According to ChatGPT, they consider her policies to be communism. I'm not even kidding. Like go and take all of Kamala Harris's policies on economy, on foreign affairs, on all of that, right? And put it into ChatGPT, and don't mention it's Kamala Harris, right? Because if you mention it's Kamala Harris, it's a little bit tricky. Just say, a person that holds these political beliefs, what ideology would you associate them with? And ChatGPT will tell you it's either socialism or communism, right? So she's like the most far-left extremist that you can have, and she was clapping, so don't tell me that the far left don't like him. People say he is Jewish. So what if he's Jewish? Name me another person that's not Jewish that can unite Americans like Benjamin Netanyahu can. I'm waiting. Just name me anyone, anybody, and I'll be like, okay. Well, if you're not capable of producing someone to unite the Americas, right? Like, if you cannot conceive a human being that would unite the Americas, well, we have to take one that already exists. And unfortunately, I haven't seen anyone else besides Benjamin Netanyahu get, like, such standing ovation for literally everybody, right? Like, for once, Ted Cruz and Kamala Harris, they agreed, right? Probably Trump agreed as well. Everyone agreed, right? So, like, unless you are capable of producing another human that has the capacity of creating such great unity, you need to take what's on the table. You know? Like, you don't have to take what's on the table. Come on, produce someone. Produce him. You got, like, 360 million people plus illegals. Just come up with someone. Oh, you can't? Oh, well, it's on you then. It's on you, right? So, that's my assessment of the situation. Did I read your super chat before this one? Let me check. Hold on. My bad. If I missed a super chat, I'm sorry. I did. I said that I'm late because I'm moving to the ghetto. But no, that's not the case. I'm late because I actually didn't see the time. Missed the timing on that one. All right. So, I wanted to talk about something else today because, this is very interesting and all, but there are other topics to discuss. Should we talk about MrBeast? MrBeast, or do we talk about Short Fat Otaku? We're going to talk about both, but the question is which one comes before the second. I don't even want to bully Dev anymore, but today, as I was making a video on my main channel, I closed my eyes and I thought about him. I wondered if Dev thinks about me the same way that I think about him. Does he live rent-free in my head? I don't think he's rent-free. I think he was just a guest. Okay, let's talk about Dev. So, this one is interesting because like both subjects have a little bit of a connection. Alright, like both of these subjects, they do involve talking about individuals who are transgender. Let's talk about Dev. Alright. So, I'm making a video today and I'm discussing the incompetence of the US Secret Service. And, like everything is very weird. But apparently you're not allowed to say that it's weird because it upsets Cenk Uygur, right? Like, what was his name? Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan says, yeah, what happened on that day is weird. And Cenk Uygur is like, what do you mean weird? Are you implying? Are you a conspiracy theorist? Do you theorize in conspiracies? Do you believe that assassinations throughout human history have ever involved any type of conspiracy? Piers, do you believe in Bigfoot? Okay, so basically you're not allowed to say it's weird. But it is fucking weird, right? Because you're like, okay, so why was it that there were no people on the roof? Well, that's fucking weird, right? Why was it that they were told not to go on the roof because the roof has a slope? Is there any manual in the operations of the Secret Service which says you're not supposed to place snipers on a roof if it has a slope? No, well, okay, well, that's fucking weird, isn't it? There was a police, there was an FBI guy, I think, or a police officer, which was supposed to watch that roof, but apparently they left home early. Like, they weren't supposed to, but they did anyway. And it's like, well, that's fucking weird, isn't it? And then you go through, like, a list of things. Like, for instance, people noticed the man with the gun minutes before, and they were trying to tell Secret Service about it. Why didn't they register it as a threat? Well, that's fucking weird, isn't it? Right? So, like, you got, like, this whole list of things. This whole timeline of events. And everything is weird. So, like, for that moment in my life, I closed my eyes. And I managed to go back to the Archcast. I wasn't actually at the Archcast, but within my mind, it was as if I was there. And I'm at the Archcast, and I'm asking Dev, like, what do you make of this? And knowing Dev, right, like, this is a simulation in my mind. This didn't actually happen. But, like, simulating in my mind, I'm like, he will say it's incompetence. Right. So, like, all these government organizations, they're filled with incompetent people. Every single one. And it's, like, so much incompetence all the way to the top. It's a fucking miracle that these organizations still function at some level, right? Because, like, America with 360 million people is not capable of producing some competent individuals to staff the FBI and the Secret Service. No. Everybody across the board is incompetent, constantly incompetent, right? Everything is incompetent. Now, as I'm, simulating this in my brain, as I'm running this mind simulation in my brain, I remember a different case. It's like a dream, like this is the part one of the dream, and then you move into another event. And like, this event is different. Now, I'm not at the Archcast now. I'm watching a Reddit post. And in this Reddit post, there was a guy, which, was working at a major corporation, and one of his colleagues comes out as being trans. And they have the most important thing in the life of a trans person, which are pronouns. Right? You gotta respect them. So, this guy refuses to call the trans person with the pronouns, and instead, every single time they see the person, he calls them my esteemed colleague. Right? So, like, every single time this person enters the room, he's like, my esteemed colleague. So, when he would be talking about Jaina, he would say she, her. When he's talking about Bob, he would say he, him. But when it was this transgender person, he would always say my esteemed colleague, right? Now, this trans person was furious. And this trans person went to HR. And it's like, he keeps calling me my esteemed colleague. And it's not my esteemed colleague, it's a ma'am. It's a ma'am, why can't he, right? And HR says, well, we can't do shit because he's not being disrespectful. Now, all of a sudden, Dev is capable of making assumptions. All of a sudden, he is capable of assuming that this guy is malicious. He doesn't ask for proof. He doesn't ask for any evidence. All of a sudden, his brain is functioning like that of a normal human being. He is capable of seeing patterns, making assumptions, like he knows that on various internet forums, this is how people troll. He is aware of the greater context. He is aware of the greater culture. For one moment, Dev has managed to see the universe, the tapestry of the universe as a whole. Everything was interconnected. Everything was connected to something else, and he looked at it and he was like, aha, I got it. But when it's about the government, he just can't. When it's about the government, there is no like grand tapestry. There is nothing. It's just like that thing. It's like the tunnel vision. It's like, well, this is incompetence. This is incompetence. This is incompetence as well. Oh, incompetence over there. Incompetence over here. We are surrounded by incompetence. We need bigger government. So this is why people think that he is bad faith, right? Because there is no way that a person can believe like this, but I'm guaranteeing you he does. He does believe like this. Which, you know, it's up to you to decide if it's worse or not. But it's not bad faith. Like, it's good faith because he actually believes the shit he is saying. But I don't know how he goes on through life. Because you gotta make assumptions sometimes. I was mind training like Goku and Krillin. Exactly. It's exactly what I did. I did have a revelation, yes. Yeah, for a moment, Dev did step out of the cave and saw things the way they are. I don't know how he managed. The fact that he cannot be convinced by actual evidence, that's bad faith. No. Look, I don't want to water the definition. Bad faith is when you don't believe something, but you're pretending that you do, or vice versa, right? So, like, bad faith would be if I know that Vosh is a bad person, but I would tell everyone else that he's a good person. That's bad faith, right? Because, like, you're not arguing in good faith. Like, I'm a right-winger, so if I was to go in a leftist forum and tell everyone that leftism is good and I'm actually a leftist, that's bad faith. So, or for instance, like if I was to debate another right-winger and I would just say things that I don't believe for the sake of having the debate, that's bad faith, right? That's debating in bad faith. Bad faith is like when you don't believe something and you talk in a way as if you do. You forget, whenever T's are involved, Dev, like the chaser he is, automatically assumes malice. He does see the grand tapestry of things, yes, the T for tapestry. But V, the government didn't investigate themselves and say they did no wrong. Oh, it's even more beautiful than this, right? From what I gathered, and I actually watched the hearings, the Secret Service is blaming the cops are blaming the Secret Service, the FBI are blaming everyone else. Like, it's absolutely hilarious that there was a thing, like, one question. How many bullets, how many casings were there on the roof? And this is important because if you know how many casings there are on the roof, you know how many shots were fired, and you can see if, you know, there were bullets coming from other places. And the Secret Service goes like, oh, you need to ask the FBI about this. So, a couple of days later, they're interrogating the director of the FBI, and it's like the same question comes out, like, how many shell casings were on the roof? The FBI goes like, oh, you need to investigate, you need to ask the Secret Service about this. It's like a children's game, right? But it's incompetence. Everybody is incompetent. It's a country of incompetence. It's a nation of incompetence. I don't even know how it managed to become the most powerful nation on earth, probably through sheer luck. Probably, it just so happened, like, one day America just stumbled, like, whoopsie, and they managed to become the world hegemon. But other than that, everybody, top to bottom, is incompetent. Every single time. Yeah, they're passing the hot potato, yes. You got bad faith definition wrong. It doesn't matter what definition I got wrong, but I understand the meaning of my words, motherfucker. Right? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, if you want to believe that actual evidence won't convince him, you're probably right. Like, you need to milk him really hard. You need to, like, squeeze him really dry to get that one last drop, which is, like, him finally believing that, yeah, no, I was wrong. So, anyway. Oh, I gave the definition of grifting. Okay, fine. Whatever. I will actually look. Let me check. What is the definition of bad faith? Bad faith. Definition. So, intent to deceive. Frustrated industry representative accused them of negotiating in bad faith. Refusal to confront facts or choices. No, he does confront them, but he doesn't agree with them. By the way, if you guys want to convince Dev of something, I will tell you how to do it. Okay? There is a way. There is a way in which you can persuade Dev of anything you want. You can persuade him that water isn't wet, that the sky is actually gray, and that the grass is yellow. You can do this. It's very simple. All you gotta do is to persuade Destiny to make a video. If Destiny makes a video saying that water is wet, Dev will say, okay, now it's wet. But if Destiny makes another video and says, actually, water isn't wet, Dev will be like, you know what? That's a fair point. So, like, if you want to mind control Dev, all you gotta do is reach to Destiny and get him to make a video about whatever you want, and then Dev will believe it. The other way, I suppose, this is a lot more difficult, is to get CNN to make a video, right? So, like, if CNN makes a footage, then Dev will also believe it. So, yeah. It's kind of like Simon says. You know, with the invention of AI, I think if you actually get a video that's convincing enough of Destiny saying that vote Trump 2024, well, yeah, if he says that, then Dev will be like, you know what? I'm a Trump supporter now. That's my take, okay? Like, this is my belief. Who else should we talk about? Oh yeah, MrBeast. Oh my goodness, MrBeast. This is something that YouTube apparently is demonetizing channels for. Like, you're not allowed to mention the Beast. You cannot mention the Beast on YouTube anymore, right? I think, like, YouTube has been taken over by Catholics, very firm believers. People that carry the cross, and they do not like the mark of the beast or some shit. But yeah. The reason this is funny, and I'm not going to go into it because you guys know what it's about, right? Like, I don't want to trigger the algorithm. And if I trigger the algorithm, then more people don't get to see the video. So it's been like a couple of days now, and you guys probably know the controversy, right? You know what's happening. You know what's going on. You got eyes. You got ears. You know the stuff. Is there anyone in the chat that doesn't know the stuff with the Beast? So, it's also interesting that everyone calls him MrBeast, right? Like, when they were talking about PewDiePie, it was PewDiePie, real name, Kjellberg. You know, like, all the journalists were like, Power Word, real name. But with MrBeast, it's just MrBeast. I find that to be very interesting. I find that to be fascinating. I don't know what it means yet, but, like, it's interesting nonetheless. So, is it Jimmy? I don't know. Okay, so, Dr. Disrespect, right? Like, he comes out, and he's accused. He's accused without any logs, without anything, that he spoke with a minor. Like, that was the accusation, right? He spoke with a minor and had what was it? Hold on, I'm trying to remember what the mod initially said. Inappropriate messages towards a minor. That was it, right? Like, this is what one mod on the internet said. So you have, like, this ex-Twitch mod, this ex-Twitch admin, saying that if he sells enough tickets, there was a financial incentive there. If he sells enough tickets for his concert, he will announce why Dr. Disrespect got banned. And once he sold enough tickets, it's like, okay, inappropriate messages with a minor. Now, there wasn't any evidence at the time, okay? Like, we're time freezing this. We're time freezing this. There was no logs. There was no person coming out. There was nothing. Nada. Zilch. But my God, was Pokimane upset. Like the earthquake, because Pokimane was outraged. And she was like, this is unacceptable. And there was like a lot of... Now, I said, you know what? I want to see some receipts. I want to see some evidence. Like, show me. Show me, por favor. Por favor, senor. Like, show me the logs. Now, eventually, Dr. Disrespect himself approaches the keyboard and he writes clickety-clack, and says, yes, years ago when I was younger, there was such an event where I have spoken to a person that was a minor, and sometimes the conversation leaned into the inappropriate, but there was nothing illegal. To which the quartering responded with a firm handshake. Do you guys remember that? I remember that because I was like, what the fuck? Did I read it wrong? Why is the quartering giving a firm handshake to this? What the fuck? It's a little bit bizarre. I remember like there were people trolling the quartering for weeks to come. Like they were like, a Catholic priest has molested 2 years old child, and people were like taking that news article and giving it to quartering and being like, hey, are you going to give this guy a firm handshake as well? Like, what the fuck are you doing? But anyway, right, so, MrBeast immediately gets cancelled, right? And even I said, look, I can't defend that shit. I can't defend it. Like, there's not... Dude, you're married. You got a daughter. Fuck are you doing? Right? Like, duh. So I thought that this is the standard now. I thought that this is how we roll. Like, if you are a content creator of some renown and it's found out that you are interacting with people who are minors and you are behaving in a way which is inappropriate but legal, right? Then that's what I understood. But then the MrBeast scandal came, and all of a sudden Pokimane was like, oh, let's wait and see. I don't know. I mean, I think we should look more into it. But if it happens, if there's evidence, then of course we shouldn't. Like, well, that wasn't the energy from before. Now was it, Pokey? Ah. And many other content creators were like this. In fact, like what I noticed was that there was this gentleman by the name of Sneeko. And Sneeko was getting more flack that he did not use the correct pronouns. That one was outraging people. That was the real shit. It's like, Sneeko, why aren't you using the correct pronouns? Then the actual person that was behaving inappropriately towards minors on the internet, that they were getting less flack than Sneeko got for not using the correct pronouns. What a world! And then YouTube starts demonetizing videos for bringing this up. What a world times two. And then moderators also start, on Reddit, they start burying the story. They should apply it to teachers, good resumes. I mean, a lot of people keep saying Catholic Church this, Catholic Church that, but have they ever looked at some of the scandals coming up from the education system? So, Sneeko sucks ass. Yeah, but like, he did have a point, didn't he? Look, you can suck ass and still have a point. Cenk Uygur has proven this to be the case. Same with Ara Kasparian. Inappropriate but legal is literally the bulk of intersections on Twitch. You think it's only 18-plus-year-old watching Morg Pie's butthole. I do not know who Morg Pie is, nor do I want to know about the butthole. I don't know the case of what's his name? Dr. Disrespect, right? Because he does say that no crime has been found after the investigation, but who investigated him? Was it Twitch? Like, Twitch doesn't have the authority to conduct such investigations. Was it the police? I mean, if the police investigated him and they found out that nothing was to be found there, again, we don't have the logs. I genuinely don't know why he said so. I saw that some moron bid 500,000 to play games with PokePerson, and not even in person. Oof. Yeah, I will tell you why this is what it is. This is my opinion on why the differential treatment. So most like okay, here's what most people don't get about YouTube. If you want to be famous, like if you want to be a channel that has like millions of subscribers, you're either a corporation, like you have the backing of a corporation like HoloLive, right? Or you have some people behind you. Either a PR company, I think like MrBeast has a PR company that's associated with Disney. I think Asmongold is part of the same PR company. Or you can know someone at YouTube or be part of certain programs that YouTube used to have. They had like a program where they were promoting diversity and shit. Right, but like the idea is if you want to be popular and have like millions of followers, you got to be in on it. Like the algorithm has to promote you. And it's very difficult for a person without connections that's completely independent to make it in 2024 YouTube. Now, back when YouTube started, this was easy. Like, what's her name? Rebecca Black, I think. Angry Joe, Total Biscuit. Like, there were self-made people. Like, these were content creators that actually put on the content, like PewDiePie. PewDiePie played the algorithm. Hold on, my bad. PewDiePie is actually one of the first people that played the algorithm, because what happened with PewDiePie is that when you create a YouTube channel, at the time, and this was like before 2014, I think. It was like 2010, like when YouTube just came out. If you made the channel, your video would have been promoted to the people around you, right? So like if you are in Sweden, Swedish people will get to see your videos. Like they were the ones that were served it. And then they were the ones that had to share it further. Now PewDiePie, what happened is that he actually started his channel in Sweden, and then he went all the way to UK. So now he had two countries of origins. Like the algorithm was strict in a way, and it was promoting his videos in the UK, and it was promoting his videos in Sweden. So he had this advantage, right? But anyway, my point is that now, if you want to be famous, you can't be a PewDiePie. You can't just start streaming and all of a sudden you become a celebrity. There is a ceiling, there is a gap, and that is I think like where someone like Mr. Medicare is, right? Like Mr. Medicare is my analysis. He's getting like 10,000 viewers per live stream. That's kind of like as high as you're allowed to grow. Like anything more than that. And it's either like a very bizarre event, like for instance with Nick Riqueta, right? And he's doing a collab with all the other people from YouTube, like all the other lawyers and legal experts from the platform, and they're talking about the Johnny Depp trial as it's going live, and then managing to get like 50,000 people, right? Like that is an exception. But what I'm saying is that usually you're allowed to grow to a certain level before you hit that ceiling. And the only way to pass that ceiling is either by associating yourself with a corporation like HoloLive, or you have like a PR team or someone that's willing to do business with you. So basically what it means is that you have a handler now, right? You have a handler, and most of the famous streamers, they have handlers. Like even the Quartering says, oh, my contact from YouTube, right? Like they have handlers. And the handlers will often tell them, do not talk about this, or if you do talk about this is how you need to talk about it, this is how you need to spin it. Tim Pool would say this as well. Like back in the day, I think like during 2020 when you had like the ban on denying the sanctity of the American elections. And Tim Pool was saying like, I want to talk about this, but I'm not allowed. My handler says I gotta wait until it's reported by the mainstream news. So this is why they don't go after MrBeast's controversy. It's because it's my assessment, right? Like I don't know this for sure, but I would be surprised if it's not the case. That their handlers are basically telling them, leave this alone. Do not fuck with this. Do not poke at this. It's like, leave it alone. So the problem is that it's blowing so much because the way it works on the internet, and this is my belief, it's something that Stalin believed as well in the Soviet Union. They didn't believe that you can find a person that you cannot convict of a crime. The idea was like you target a person and you start digging through their past long enough, and eventually you find out something. It may be a different thing from a person to another, but like usually everyone does something. You know, they said a racist joke. They said something sexist. They said something misogynistic. They said something they must have done something, right? Now, it's the same with content creators. Like if you go in the past and you look deep enough, eventually you will find something. Like Joe Rogan saying the N-word compilation, right? Like he had like a 30 minutes compilation saying the N-word. Usually you do not get many people involved into going through a content creator unless they're doing something bad. Like unless they're pissing off the internet, right? So if you start pissing off the internet, then you'll have people going through everything you said. And the internet really is forever. This is why now people are pulling out like MrBeast videos from back when my grandpa was in diapers and talking about those, right? Because he was making edgy jokes and shit. You're not going to get away from it, right? The only thing you can get away is not to piss off the internet. So yeah, now MrBeast is basically having ex-employees coming out and talking about his friend and him. You got like all these people. I think like there was an employee saying that some of the gifts that he was giving were fake, and like all these allegations coming out, right? And I think like we're going to see more of them rather than less. And what YouTube is doing right now, according to some content creators, is that they are suppressing the story. They're trying to suppress the news from coming out. They're striking down videos. They're demonetizing videos. They're age restricting videos. They don't want people talking about this. The only time that something similar to this happened was with Suzy Lu, right? So Suzy Lu had also some connections. I think she also had some handlers, and someone made fun of her forehead. And because someone made fun of her forehead, all of a sudden YouTube started applying their policies that usually they don't apply. But you're not allowed to make fun of someone's appearance, right? Like that's in the TOS. But you notice that if you watch content creators, they make fun of people's appearances all the time. I mean, this is like one of the most primal forms of humor that exists in mankind. It's like something that kindergarten kids do. However, you know, YouTube doesn't let you do that. But every now and then, when they decide, oh, you're not allowed to go after this person, that's when they start applying the terms of service that normally they don't. Sharing pornography with minors is illegal. If it was just sex jokes here and there, it'd be fine. No, I think like even if it was sex jokes here and there with a minor, it wouldn't be fine. I don't know about the pornography thing, because again, like I haven't actually followed the entire controversy, but I do know that they're cooked, both of them. MrBeast, not so sure yet. Like MrBeast is lucky because he's distancing himself, right? So like he issued a statement. He is doing his best to distance himself. So MrBeast may be fine. He's going to take a little bit of a PR damage, but I think he's going to be fine. The other person is cooked. There's no coming back for them. That's it. Ethan Klein got Leafy banned. When was that? A minor of what? 18? I think the minor was 13. Like the minor actually had a very interesting story. So the minor is a content creator themselves. And initially they come out and they say, oh, I was a group. Like none of that was bad. It was just jokes. Right? Like that's the initial statement. And I think yesterday they come out and they said, because like all of this has happened 5 years ago, right? So like it's a long time. So it is believable what the minor said. He said, oh, I did, like my memory didn't serve. I don't remember the conversation exactly. But now seeing the logs, yeah, they're pretty bad. I was a minor at the time, so I shouldn't have been exposed to that. That's not okay. That's definitely inappropriate, right? So people are making the joke that the check bounced. But it's also possible that, yeah, like the person may not remember the conversations. I mean, again, if it's 5 years in the past, it is understandable that you don't remember shit. I don't remember stuff that I said last month, let alone like 5 years. So, like you remember that you had a good time with your friends on Discord, but like you don't actually remember all the specifics. And then when people pull the logs from 5 years ago, you're like, oh, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, that's not okay. So it is believable. This is why I hate the word minor, because it's so encompassing. Like, in this case, it's a 13-year-old, right? Like, that's a lot more fucked up than if, in the case of Dr. Disrespect, it would be a 17-year-old. Like, it's fucked up in both situations, but one is more fucked up than the other, and it's good to have a little bit of clarity and context. Like, we're not talking about a 17-year-old, no, we're talking about a 13-year-old, which... Apparently, the server had like a not safe for work channel, right? And you have like this minor as a mod in such a server. Like, come on, not good. Chris telling them to delete it after they watched it together says he knew it was wrong. I don't know, like the logs. I'm not interested in reading vile stuff, believe it or not. Like I'm sure that the cancel culture is spinning right now, so the consequences will happen. But yeah, no, I unironically don't like reading vile shit. I just don't. It's not. No. I read a little bit. I got the idea. I understood the gist of it. I saw what people commented around it. I'm like, okay, that's fucked up. I saw enough, basically. I didn't need to see more. Discord seems like a vector for being doxxed, groomed, or scammed. No, it's not Discord. Look, I will tell you something, which are words of wisdom from when I was a kid. Although I was in the furry fandom at the time, so I don't know if I should give you the best advice on the internet. When I was a kid, the internet was a novelty, right? Like, we're talking about waiting 2 minutes for a page to open. I was using Netscape. Do you guys know what Netscape is? Google it. Netscape was the Google at the time, okay? And after Netscape, Yahoo was the search engine. And only after that, Google came along. So basically, that's how old I am. Now, the internet was actually 100% unmoderated at the time. I don't know if you guys can imagine this, but yes, the internet was 100% unmoderated. No moderation everywhere. The only moderation you had was local. So like someone would open a website where you had like a Dragon Ball RPG, and they would set like the moderation, and they would say you're not allowed to impersonate other people, you're not allowed to spam, blah 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 blah. But basically, that was the internet. It was the Wild West, and everyone knew, and I mean everyone that used the internet of my age, and I was like 13 at the time, but we all knew that the internet is dangerous. Like, we actually understood that. And what that meant was that you should never use your real life photo. You should never use your real life name. You should never give any personal information. You should never meet someone from the internet face to face. Like, that was the education that we got. And we stayed safe. Right? But like, everyone would tell everyone else, it's like, hey, the internet is actually dangerous. And it was, right? And it was even more than that. It was, don't click links from strangers. Do not open emails from strangers. Do not go onto these websites because they're renowned for hacking, spam, blah, 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 blah. That was the internet that I grew up with. And now, it's a different internet. Now it's like, no, actually the internet is safe. Companies will keep you safe. You got Trusted Safety Council. Everything is safe, right? Like, feel free. Just give your real name, give your address, give your biometrics, link them to your SOCMED account, link them everywhere. It's fine. Hey, you want to watch porn as an adult? Yeah, just link your ID there. Just put everything. All your identifiable information. Just it up there. Install this Windows update that's going to be in your computer. When you enter PayPal, it will log the keys. And it's fine. It's perfectly fine. The internet is super safe, you guys. 100% safe. Right? A little bit different than the internet that I grew up with. So I wouldn't say that Discord is the problem. People are the problem. Like, whatever happened to the mentality that I grew up with? Because it was a good mentality. It was a fucking excellent mentality. And I'm going to pass this mentality to my children. I'm going to be, you go on the internet, you do not give your real name, you do not give your address, you do not put pictures of yourself, except for the account that you create for the purpose of getting a job. You're going to have another account that's official, you're going to take family photos, you're going to type the most mundane, bland shit imaginable, you're going to put that you have like some acceptable hobbies over there, and that's it. If you remember back when MrBeast friends announced the transition, certain content creators said that will cause problems in the future. They were transphobic. Yeah, I remember that Kotaku journalist. Is there any reason you guys don't use your real names and pictures? And I think like she was also complaining a couple of weeks later that she got doxxed. And I was like, yeah, getting doxxed is not cool, but like, it's like sleeping with your door open and then having burglars coming into your house. Like, obviously it's not cool. Like, no one condones burglary. But like, surely you could have done surely you could have taken some level of precautions, right? It's kind of like leaving your wallet inside your car in a visible area and then complaining that the car was broken into. It's like, come on, surely you could have done something about that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trust companies with your personal information. Unless it's like something that you must give your personal information, like a PayPal or something like that, sure. But if it's like Discord, fuck no. I don't trust Discord. I don't trust many places. You guys don't have 20 plus burned emails? Like that person that put their card details online and said, see, they can't do anything without CCV number, and then they got signed up for donations. Oh, that's actually a case in my country. I remember hearing about it at law school. There was like this girl, because like it was a case of who's to blame, right? Like, is the guy responsible or not? And the woman had a credit card, and again, like, this is the early days of the internet. Like, people didn't really get how the internet works. And the woman had a credit card, and the boyfriend was like, you're not supposed to show the credit card to people. And she's like, why? They can't do anything without my 3-digit number. And he's like, no, they can. Just stop showing it. And they got into an argument where she insists that nothing can be done. So he's like, okay, so are you fine if I take your credit card number without those 3 digits? And she goes, yeah. So he goes shopping online, and he's like buying a lot of expensive stuff, and then she gets the bill, and she's horrified, right? And the question is like, did the guy steal or not? And the answer from most people was that no, he wasn't, because she gave him permission. So, I don't feel comfortable giving PelPay a photo ID I don't want in a file somewhere on the internet attached to my digital money. No, but like, can you imagine? I don't even watch Pornhub. I just don't, right? Because like, I have a wife, so I'm not into that, and it's so fake. Like that's what pisses me off. It's so fake, like all the moldings and shit. But they wanted to say that if you want to watch it, you gotta tie your credit card to it. No, not your credit card, your ID. Your ID to it. And I'm like, okay, so what if Pornhub gets hacked, right? Now, even if you watch the most vanilla shit ever, that's still life-ruining stuff. Like, if people associate your porn habits with your real name, they can get you fired. They can get you ostracized from your religious community. um, Pornhub sucks, literally. It's so I don't know. Maybe I grew out of it. It's just like it's not how people have sex. I guess like there's no foreplay. There's nothing. It's just like smack, 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 and loud moans, and it's just no. Like it, and the way the women moan as well, it's very fake. I don't like it. No. I'm in Texas, so no P Hub for me. I'm pretty sure. Like, are there other things that are still available in Texas? I mean, IRC used to be the jam. Yeah, I used IRC, and you could either join the anime community or you could join the furries. You had two choices. Don't have a religious community, problem solved. Girls don't get stuck in laundry machines on the regular. That's actually not the problem. No, that's actually fine. The laundry machine is fine. Apparently, Hassan Nekolol. What the fuck is the Nekolol? Oh yeah, that okay, boomer girl, yeah. And MrBeast are part of the same talent network company. That company is partially owned by Disney and Amazon. Yeah. I'm telling you, they have handlers. And the handler will tell them you're not allowed to talk about this. Or if you talk about this, this is how you need to do to frame it. I was in Texas, and when we wanted a drink, we were basically given papers to go somewhere and told to show papers. Okay, but like that's different, right? Because if you go into a bar and they ask for ID, they're not scanning your ID and holding it into a repository. Like you're showing them ID, they're looking at the ID, they look at your face and they go like, yeah, okay, go in. But when you show the ID to an internet website, you don't know what happens. Like if they actually take your ID and associate it with your real name and address, then if it ever gets hacked, that information is then out in the open. Like that's your private information. So again, the company may not want to use your ID for nefarious purposes, but like what if they get hacked? And most companies get hacked quite often. Like even Microsoft gets hacked. Speaking of porn, I remember how Japanese and hentai focus a lot on the act of impregnation and breeding, showing how good it is to increase fertility rates. I genuinely do not think that people's fictional fantasies are tied to their personality. Like, I don't think it works if you show people a lot of breeding stuff that they're actually going to want to breed. And I will tell you why I'm basing that on. There's a lot of ladies out there, there are studies done. And apparently one genre of porn that women like is forceful, right? Like they like the Khal Drogo gets on the Daenerys type of thing, right? Like they enjoy the Twilight and the 50 Shades of Grey. Which is pretty much like a lot of female romantica and erotica is basically focused around rape. But the readers will say it's fine because he's hot, right? Now, just because that's the case doesn't mean that that's what women want to do in real life. Like, doesn't mean that they want that. The way I justify it, I think, is that since it's a fantasy and it's going in their head, is like one. And the second is that, again, like, the guy is hot, right? Like, he's not just a random. It's not just a random guy popping out of nowhere. Like, he is Khal Drogo. So he is powerful. He is hot. But yeah, like, okay, I actually hired this translator who was doing a lot of female erotica. And what told me blew my mind. Because, like, when you explain this story, it's almost like you read it. If you had a girlfriend that actually dragged you kicking and screaming to one of these Twilights or 50 Shades of Grey or shit, you know what I'm talking about. So they have like you know, like the journey of the hero where you can like summarize it on a couple of steps, And you're like, well, the hero is a weenie in the beginning, and he meets the mentor, and then he meets challenges, and he gets beaten by the villain once, but then he trains, and right? So you have like the journey of the hero for stuff that men watch, for stuff that young men watch. When you look at stuff that women watch, especially erotica, and we're talking again, 50 Shades of Grey, Twilight, like these famous things, you can break them down as such. The woman is very plain and mundane, so she's like a perfect self-insert. She has no qualities that make her stand out. She's not very beautiful, but she's not ugly either. Like she is like a cardboard box. She is very plain, like Rey from Star Walker. That is the character in most of these erotic novels. So you have this plain person, and they meet this guy, and this guy is very powerful, very charismatic, incredibly intelligent, very rich. And most of the time in these stories, she either ends up being, if not actually, if there's not an actual rape scene, it can be pressured by him offering to pay her a debt, offering to give her a job, right? And they have sex. And she doesn't like it at first, but, you know, you have the drama, the friction there. It's kind of like, again, think about Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones. That's what we're talking about, right? Like, she's not happy that she's married. She's reluctant. But after a while, she actually falls in love with him, right? So that is like the Act 1. And Act 2 is inserting the other love interest. So all of a sudden, you have another girl that comes into the life of the bad guy. You know, it's either an ex-wife, an ex-girlfriend, someone that he knew at high school. But basically, now they have this love triangle, right? So like in the beginning, she didn't like him, but now there's this other girl, and this other girl actually does have qualities, like either she's more beautiful, either she's more rich, sorry, not more rich, more charismatic, right? Like, but like she's not a cardboard box. She's actually the type of person that the husbando would go out with. So now they have this love triangle, and what happens is that she usually ends up leaving. So she gets on a plane and travels to another country. She travels to another city, goes somewhere else. And that's where she meets the nice guy, right? So like the nice guy is, again, either one of her ex-boyfriends, just a friend, or someone else. And the nice guy tries to give her a shoulder to cry on. They may or may not have sex, but like he is just very nice with her. Extremely nice. Like he is the perfect man. Now, this is what Act 3 happens. And Act 3 is the original twat, right? Like the Khal Drogo, the Christian Grey, realizes how much he misses her, pushes away the other love interest, flies after the original woman, and when he meets the nice guy, goes like, oh, I see, well, my lady, I understand, you made your choice, I'm just a cock, I'm going to bounce. And he bounces, right? So they get married and they live happily ever after. And this is almost every single female erotica, like copy-paste, with just some small adjustments. There's small differences here and there. This is what women like. And I'm not saying that based on anything else besides, like, when something like this plays, most of the audience is women. Like, just, you would not want to be there within a 10-foot radius. Like, you would need a girlfriend to drag you kicking and screaming to these types of movies. The heroine journey is a Marxist version of the hero journey. All hentai game stories have no background or personality. I see. She does have bigger boobies, yes. No, she never finds Jesus. Man, there was like this other, I forgot the name of it, but holy shit, there was this TV show, or no, sorry, a movie. And it was like very praised by feminists. It was like the three women. And again, like every single time, they're so fucking plain, it's unreal. And it's unreal because they end up with these like hot 10 out of 10 husbandos, right? So, the whole story, like this was so fucked up. She was in a relationship with a nice guy. And when I say nice guy, as in treats her well, does all the manly things, like there's nothing to complain. But she gets bored, insults him in front of his mother, and then travels somewhere else. And for the rest of the movie, she just sleeps around with other men, breaks up with them, and gets bored. And I think like this guy at one point manages, like the original guy manages to fix his fix his life, like is dating someone else. But like she starts missing him, right? Like after dating all these other guys, she starts missing him. Goes back in his life, makes it so that he breaks up again. Like does vile shit in order to get him to break up. And then hooks up with him, but like she's still not happy, and in the end you kind of get the idea that she's going to break up with him again. And I'm like, women like this, right? Like why do they like this? It's so vile. It's so evil. Like there's no morality here. There's no redeeming quality. There's no lesson to be learned. It's just like so weird. So fucking weird. Because, like, when you look at the male fantasy, like, what is the male fantasy? Oh, he's Batman. His parents got killed, and he wants to make sure that no one ends up suffering like that. So he's going to take a bullet in order to defend you, and he likes Catwoman. Right? Like, this is the male, the male hero story. The hero's journey. It's like, what do men want? Well, they want to protect. Also, another common thing is the main character girl has a hard childhood, abusive parents, etc. Yeah, that's optional. Like, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I can indulge myself with no consequences. Awesome. Average female fantasy. Well, like, that's fine, because that's what fantasy is for, right? Like, indulging yourself with no consequence. Like, why'd you play Doom? Why'd you play, you know, RPGs like Baldur's Gate, and you hack and you slash and you kill everyone? It's like, because you can, right? It's a fantasy. Like, there's no consequences. But, like, at least the fantasy that you play is awesome and cool in some way, right? Like in Baldur's Gate, you're saving the Faerun. You're doing something. But when you look at this level of fantasy, it's just so vile. Like, it's just about hurting people. Like, she's not happy by the end. That's what pisses me off as well. 'Cause, like, if they were happy and had kids, like, sure. But, like, they're not marrying. They're not having kids. It's just like a hookup culture. And it's like, so, why though? Maybe because the writers of this crap are unhinged women. Maybe. I mean, the Japanese romance novel for women are a lot different. They actually end up being... well, actually, never mind. The Japanese novel for women, they do end up with a similar arch. But the Japanese novel for young men, the romance ones, usually end up with the hero and his love interest getting married and having kids. So, yeah, I guess, like, the message is a little different. Even in the ones with the harems, right? Like, even in the romance novels where you have, like, the hero making a harem, he will still pick one girl, marry her, and have kids by the end of the thing. But when you look at the one with the women, no. Who would win, Xena or Wonder Woman? Jesus, is not even close. Anyway, right, I need to go and make videos on my other channels. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you later. Take care.